The following program is a podcast1.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm up and at 'em early this Monday a.m. Hell, I'm fixing to get in my damn SUV and head down to the Staples Center. WWE is in town. Hallelujah. I'm going down to the Staples Center to interview Kevin Owens, KO. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to talking to this guy. Last time I talked to KO, man, it was a couple years ago. We was on the telephone. It was a bad connection. Had a pretty decent conversation. As you know, me and KO go way back. One time on a flight, him and another guy, might have been Sami Zayn, was on an airplane, and I was getting off, and he recognized me and asked if I had any advice for him, because he was telling about all the moves that he was doing. And I told him, kid, learn how to run your mouth. Learn how to cut a promo. Well, if you've been watching Monday Night Raw for the past couple of years, and really the last couple of months and the last few weeks, you know that Kevin Owens took that advice to heart. He's a walking, talking, trash-talking machine. And I really enjoy listening to his promos and watching what the program that he's heading into right now, going into WrestleMania. I just caught up with Monday Night Raw last night on my DVR, and I didn't see the friendship thing, the Carnival of Friendship, whatever it was, that Chris Jericho threw for him. And Chris Jericho was in rare form. He come out there in that kind of game show type scenario, and then he turned into straight up, best friend mode, sincere from the heart. It was an awesome performance by Chris Jericho. And then, always telling Kevin Owens that he's going to have his back coming up March 5th when Kevin Owens takes on Goldberg and defends his Universal title, and that he was going to win that match because Chris guarantees that he's going to have his back, and that's why he's been winning all these matches, because he has his back, because he's his best friend forever. Well, so he gives Kevin Owens a bunch of gifts, and Kevin's besides himself, and he can't believe the absurdity of some of the gifts, but he's appreciative of the thoughtfulness of Chris Jericho. And then he has a gift for Chris Jericho. Obviously, it's nothing compared to what Chris Jericho has laid out for him, but it is something. Chris opens the box, and it's a new list. It's a new list. But the problem is, Chris Jericho is on the list. He's the name written all over that piece of paper. Well, turns over, that wasn't the list of Jericho. That was the list of KO. There was a priceless look by Chris Jericho as he was wondering why his name was on the list. All of a sudden, you cut to Kevin Owens, and there's the attack. This disdainful look on his face right before he forearms the hell out of Chris and starts stomping a mud hole in his ass and walking it dry. He turned on his best friend. Hell of an angle. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So, hell, I'm up Monday morning right here. It's almost 10 a.m. I'm going to leave here in about an hour. I'm going to head down to the Staples Center. Raw will probably be sold out down there in Anaheim, wherever it's at. No, it's downtown Los Angeles, and it'll probably be sold out. I'll try to spend about an hour and a half talking with Kevin Owens, shooting a breeze and catching up with him, seeing some of the other WWE superstars. I always look forward to being able to roll down there and see all the guys and girls. In watching this past Monday Night Raw, I'd watched the match between Charlotte and Bayley from, was it the Royal Rumble? Or whatever pay-per-view it was. And it was a pretty good match. This match that those two ladies had was the main event of Raw. Charlotte and Bayley headlined Monday Night Raw, and it was for the Women's World Championship. Hell of a match. Damn good match. Charlotte pulling out all of her tricks. Moonsault went off the announce table, whatever it was. Bayley caught her pretty hard, goes down. Anyway, back in the ring, and boy, I tell you what, finally, Bayley has a figure four on Charlotte. Charlotte's going crazy. And here comes Dana Brooks, rakes the eyes of Bayley. Charlotte goes on top, in control. But Here comes Sasha Banks, the boss, with a crutch, whacks Dana Brooks in the back, and then gives a shot to Charlotte. And then Bayley ends up on top in a pinning position, 1, 2, 3, to become the new WWE Women's Champion. It was a really, really good match. Proud of both ladies. They both did a damn good job. And I thought this was a much better match than the one they had about a month ago, 2 weeks ago. Hell was that? I can't even remember. But I'm looking forward to seeing those ladies and telling them hi and seeing everybody else out there. So it's kind of like a family reunion anytime I go back to Monday Night Raw. God dang it. I'll tell you what, I was out messing around yesterday running some errands in my Ford Bronco. This was 2 days ago. And god dang, it was raining cats and dogs. I mean, this is the hardest I've ever seen it rain since I've been in Los Angeles for 12 years. And this is one of the wettest years in the history of this great state out here, I guess. So anyway, it's been all kinds of cattywampus stuff going on. And I pulled up at this vitamin store. I was going to go in there and get me some supplements, some protein powder. And I'd called a friend of mine, and I was sitting there talking to him on my phone. I had my headphones on. And you ever have one of these kind of friends? As soon as you answer your phone and say hello, they start talking and they won't shut up. Or if you call them and say, hey, man, what's going on? And then they proceed to not shut up for about 40 minutes. Well, that's the kind of guy I was talking to. He's a good friend of mine, but son of a gun. You ain't even got to have a conversation with the son of a bitch. You can just sit there and listen to them talk. I can just pick up the phone, leave it on speaker and say, yeah, okay. Every now and then, just to acknowledge that I'm there. Well, I was talking to a guy like that inside my Bronco. I parked over there in the parking meter. I had all my quarters out. I was getting ready to put them in. Rain is still coming down. I talked to the cat for like 40 minutes. Finally said, dude, I got to go. My wife's expecting me home. So because I'd been sitting there so long, I forgot that my keys were in the ignition. So sure enough, I step out of my Bronco, push the lock button, slam the door. And as soon as I slammed the door, I knew that I had screwed up. I just locked myself out of the Bronco, keys still in the ignition. You know, every time I get out of that Bronco, I'm on cruise control. You grab the keys, you get out. I put them on my carabiner, my keys on a carabiner hook. I always carry that on my belt loop. And so, man, all of a sudden I reach for my belt loop. I'm like, God dang. I mean, it is raining cats and dogs. I had about, I don't know, about $1.25 in my pocket in quarters. I throw it all in the meter. I walk 50 yards into the vitamin shop, and I call my wife. And my wife is going over to help her friend look at an apartment or something like that across town in Santa Monica. And I said, you ain't going to believe this, but I just locked myself out of my damn Bronco. And can you come and pick me up? Because there's about 2 miles to the house where I would have walked. But I looked like a damn idiot because I had on my tennis shoes, my camouflage shorts, my camouflage jacket, and a camouflage hat. So I go in there to the nutrition store, buy all my stuff. I'm sitting there waiting. I go outside the store. I'm just sitting there under the roof overhang, staying dry. Finally, my wife comes driving up, and I go jump in the car. We go back to the house to get my second set of Bronco keys. And we go back to the Bronco. I unlock it, get into some of a gun, turn the key. Didn't even have to take the keys out, and drove my ass to the house, which the moral of this story is I'm fixing to go get one of those magnetic key holders and hide another extra key under my Bronco somewhere. Somehow I'm going to put one of those damn keys there because this is about the second or third time I've locked myself out of my Bronco. And it just can't happen again. In the rain, 2 miles from the crib, looked like an idiot, a global icon and a national treasure, walking in the rain, going to get my damn keys so I can unlock myself and let myself back in my car. This can't happen. So if you can learn from me, don't lock your keys into your car again. Get you one of them magnetic devices. Hide it on your car somewhere. Obviously, you got to kayfabe that, but this is the last damn time I'm going to do this to myself. I've done it before too many times, and I ain't doing it no more. I'm going to get a spare key made for my Bronco. Many years ago, I told you guys and girls to put a damn extra key in front of your house, somewhere behind your house, so in case you ever lock yourself out. I got 1 million emails from people who said, hey, man, I'm glad you told me that. Get you one for your damn car, because there's nothing more frustrating than locking your stuff in your car. Now, if you drive a new technology car, with Bluetooth, or you call a number, hell, they can send a signal and unlock your doors. But this is a 95 Ford Bronco. We ain't got that kind of technology. I ain't got a coat hanger to stick down in there and try to jimmy the locks out. So I'm going to put a key underneath there. Anyway, enough about all my stuff. God dang, my guest today is a very special guest. He came out and he absolutely destroyed everybody and everything in his path en route to running my Skull Buster. My guest today is named Hunter McIntyre. He is my current reigning, defending, returning champion. He reigns supreme out at the Broken Skull Challenge. His nickname is the Sheriff. He's one of the top Spartan racers in the United States of America. He's one of the top obstacle course racers in the world. The guy's just a flat-out athletic phenomenon. About 6'2". He came over, he's weighing about 206. He's bulked up a little bit since he's been out the Broken Skull Challenge. He's getting ready to put on some more size and strength before he heads into his season, which he'll start dropping weight as he goes through the grueling pace of everything that they do. But we're going to get inside his head and ask him some questions about growing up, because Hunter had a very interesting childhood. Coming from Connecticut, from an affluent family, lawyers, very intelligent people. Hunter is extremely intelligent, but education in college wasn't quite up his alley, and he got into a lot of trouble, a lot of ADD, hyperactive, and then he found drugs, and he found alcohol, and he found a lot of them. So we're going to go through his story, and it's just flat out amazing. It's going to be 2 parts. I'm talking with Hunter McIntyre, and the first part is family friendly, and then the second part, coming up this Thursday on Unleashed, we kind of uncranked the language a little bit, and we had it planned that way. I wanted to dedicate a week to Hunter McIntyre, my returning champion on the Broken Skull Challenge, and what a great story, and what a great turnaround this is for this young man. Bad off in rehab several times, several stints. All of a sudden he runs his first Spartan race, and it's an eye-opener for him, and it's a life-changing thing that happens for him as he realizes there's a bigger cause, there's a better cause, there's a cause that he's in love with and that he's very passionate about. So a hell of a guy. He's since cleaned up his act. He's one of the world's greatest athletes. He's a super smart guy, very charismatic, and he's a lot of fun to watch compete, because when he goes out there, wherever he's at, whether it's Broken Skull Challenge, Spartan, anything, this kid has a killer instinct, and he has the mindset of a total champion and a total winner. So we're going to talk to him. He is my guest today. But before we get to Hunter, let me take care of one of the sponsors who are keeping me clean shaven and smelling good, Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club gives you a close, smooth shave at a great price. And y'all know how much I love saving money. So why settle for a cheap bag of disposable razors or paying through the nose for a razor with 17 blades and a laser pointer when there's a better option? DollarShaveClub.com/Steve offers you that missing middle ground. You ain't got to choose between a painful shave with a disposable razor or paying a fortune for the latest shaving breakthrough. Dollar Shave Club offers the best of both worlds without breaking your bank or your face. You get a premium quality shave at the disposable shave price. And if you haven't tried Dollar Shave Club yet, you're missing out. There's no smarter choice on the market. And right now, they're giving away a 1-month trial of any of their razors for just $1 with free shipping. And after that, it's just a few bucks a month. There's no long-term commitments, no hidden fees, and you can cancel whenever you want. So get your $1 trial started at DollarShaveClub.com/Steve. That's DollarShaveClub.com/Steve.
Everybody knows that February is the shortest month of the year. But at Podcast One, we aren't taking any breaks. We've got a boatload of new shows coming your way this month. Like 2 from Forbes, Under 30, and The List. Or Postmortem with Mick Garris. And Clipcast, the official, unofficial podcast of the LA Clippers. But we're not done. Still to come this month, The Raven Effect from pro wrestler Raven. A little bit of Growing the Dynasty with Jeff and Jessica Robertson. Plus, in upcoming weeks, shows from Kim Zolciak, Dina Tori Spelling, The Retronauts, and many more. To get more details, go to podcastone.com now. PodcastONE.com.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
I don't even know where to begin. Sitting across the table from Hunter McIntyre, my reigning, defending, returning champion from the Broken Skull Challenge, seen all over the world. Welcome to the crib. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. It feels good hearing that from you again. I mean, honestly, it feels like I'm on the TV show.
God dang, you rolled up about 30 minutes ago, and we just sitting here shooting the breeze trying to catch up. Hey, but let's talk about you for a little bit. And what are you doing right here, right now? I know you're talking to me, but in your life, because Broken Skull Challenge, shoot, what we just wrap up. We finished about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So the season finale, you crushed it, sent all the competition home. We'll talk about all that.
Yeah.
But what are you doing currently with your life? Because, man, you put on some muscle since the last time I've seen you.
Yeah, I've been building it up. You know, I'm at a point in my life right now where, you know, you train all season long, you get to the end of season, and you're burnt out. And, you know, the show is right there. I'd really focus mentally for the show, make sure that I was ready for that thing. And then I just need a disconnect. You know, I think I told you I went to New Zealand. I took some, like, you know, just a chill pill time, no training, more of, you know, drinking beer and kind of just hanging out. And now I'm back on the ball. You know, I want to rebuild my body. I want to rebuild myself as an athlete, a brand, however you want to kind of really look at it. But, you know, these are the easy months. Starting April 1st, that's when championship season starts, and I'm pretty much gone. So I get to connect with family. I get to connect with friends. And whatever is up next for me is kind of, you know, every day I'm looking at the calendar and counting down the days.
Man, I've been watching some of your training videos on YouTube with various coaches that you've worked with.
Yeah.
So that when you say you kind of go into relax mode, I mean, you start feeling guilty if you ain't out there crushing it every day? Because, I mean, you're a very intense athlete. You're a world-class athlete, one of the best at what you do and the best at the Broken Skull Challenge.
Yeah.
When you take that downtime, are you cool with it? Or you think, hey, man, I'm losing some muscle tone. I'm regressing. I need to put my foot on the gas pedal. Where are you?
I think it took many years to mature as an athlete and as a person where at first, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't see the abs, the veins, everything like that, you go crazy. And it took a while to understand once you reach that certain level of like peak training and you know where you're at, if you don't step back a few feet, you know, standing up at that height, you kind of just, you're wearing yourself out, you know. You just can only stay there for so long. So it took me years to kind of understand who I am as an athlete, take some off time, and to realize I could, you know, use that mental strength if I like, look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're going to build yourself twice as good this year. So that's where I'm at right now. You know, a little bit of extra beer, cheesecake, whatever it may be. Now I'm fighting back for the title.
What kind of beer you like?
Oh, man, I'm a huge fan of IPA. You're a big maker in that. And, you know, honestly, I don't tell many grown men this, but I'm a wine fan.
Good, I am too. That's where I'm for to go sleep every night.
Yeah, so
Pinots, Malbecs.
Yeah, when I lived on the East Coast, no guys drink wine. You come out here to California, everybody wants to sit down and drink wine. You respect it a little bit. You get to understand the taste, the flavor, the dynamics, blah blah blah. So I'm a big nerd for that. I got myself a little wine cabinet that I'm building up, and you know, a good glass of whiskey every once in a while is something that just, it's like, you know, melatonin.
What kind of whiskey you go for?
There's Defiant from North Carolina, which is my favorite. Maker's Mark, I think it's like year 37. You know, I love that. And if I had to, if I go to a bar, Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark.
Keep it simple.
Man, I got into some Blanton down there in South Texas at the ranch. Man, just going back, I was a big Crown Royal fan for my days on the road. So I really like that Crown Royal Black these days. Yeah. And I tried some other stuff. My wife got me some stuff the other day, and I can't believe I'm telling you this story. She said, there's a bottle here at the liquor store. She said, it's $1,000.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought she was bullshitting me. I said, buy it. She goes, it's $1,000. And I'm thinking, you know, because I didn't have Crown Black. And she goes, it's $1,000. I'm thinking she's ribbing me. I said, buy it. And she shows up, and there's her receipt.
Receipt in hand, yeah.
It didn't taste like $1,000.
No.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I go into the liquor store every week when I'm buying my, you know, groceries, and I look in this one glass section, and it's well lit, you know, all illuminated. Everything looks fantastic, the crystal bottles. And I think to myself, one of these days I'm just going to pull the trigger and buy it. But then, you know, you say something like that, I know exactly what I'm getting myself into.
Dude, it wasn't all it's cracked out to be. And
yeah.
like I said, if I just had Crown Black, I'd been fine. And I got a bottle of Jack Daniels in there that's just
keep
fine.
it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. Okay, so before we go back, you're 28 right now as we speak, right?
28 in March.
28 in March.
27 still. Don't put any
27, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. A professional athlete, top in the world. Mm-hmm. What are your goals?
That's a tough thing to answer. And in reality, I never saw myself as an athlete. I was an athlete through high school, something that was kind of generated by my parents. They were like, come on, go do sports, or you got to go rake the leaves in the backyard. I went and did sports, hung out with other kids. And then I came full circle. I had a little bit of a troubled past, and then it kind of just settled right in. It was something that I turned the corner. It was right there. It was right for the picking. And I think at this point, if I could look back and tell myself anything, you hear these stories, if you could look back at your 25-year-old self, what would you say? I would say take all the chances I can right now. Between 25 and 30, I want to take every chance that I can, find out who I really am, see the world for what it is, and then when I'm 30, I'll be able to know what I really want to do when I grow up.
Really?
I hope that's a good enough answer.
No, okay. You didn't complete college?
Didn't complete college, 1 year.
Okay, and you're out on the obstacle course racing circuit, Spartan, all that stuff.
Travel.
You're a sponsored athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you hit 30. Let's call you an adult then.
Yeah, let's call me an adult then.
Okay, so then...
Don't rob my 20s
Okay,
from me.
well, no, you'll still be in your prime for another couple of years after that. Okay, Let's just say by 40.
40, okay.
It's a long ways off.
Okay,
but
40 is a long ways off.
You can't rest on all your athletic laurels.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
If I could really give myself a structure for the future, I would like to build up as much of a name for myself now and success now so that I can go back and tour and make sure that people who are in my footsteps behind me, I can help them out.
There you go.
I was a kid that was a maniac. I burnt down everything that was around me because I didn't really know how to handle it. I wasn't responsible enough. I didn't have good mentors. And I've lost so many friends that way. I've watched them all die of drugs, drive just accidents. The other one almost just got beaten to death the other day. Not to be dramatic, but if I had somebody who really could look at me and say, Hunter, let's try this for a second and pull me to the side and gives me some resources, I may be somewhere different than I am now. Not to say that I'm in a bad place where I am, but I want to give people opportunity. And, I have to see all of these things out for myself before I can really teach people.
Man, that's good.
Well, I hope so.
That's good. Going back as you were a kid.
Yeah.
You come from Connecticut?
Connecticut, New York.
Are from an affluent family?
We all did well. My dad, my grandfathers were doctors and investors. My dad kind of trickled down. He was he went to Harvard. Nobody came from a rough place, but they worked hard to get where they are now.
Brothers and sisters?
3 older brothers, and they're all. First one's a lawyer, next one's a neurologist, next one's a hedge fund guy. So I'm following some people.
So how was it growing up with 3 older brothers? You're the baby of the family. Baby
of the family, and they beat the crap out of me, but they gave me a good lesson with every punch. It was the kind of thing where I was retaining a lot of information that most young people wouldn't get in that circumstance because my dad married another woman. They got divorced, and I got a brother inserted into my family who was 10 years older than me. So I'm 5 years old. He's 15. She's bringing girls over the house.
My watchdog Moolah in the background. Hunter, this is what it's like over here at 316 Gimmick Street.
Watchful eye, dude.
We're right next door. There's construction underway. So anyway, extra brother in the family. Yeah,
so as I was saying, having these older brothers, they were really giving me a lot of information, a lot of lessons. I was growing up really quickly. But, at the same time, there's a kind of a double-edged sword. I was introduced to some things, not necessarily like they were shoving things down my nose or, making me smoke pot, but I saw it. And I knew what they were doing, and I thought to myself, well, why can't I be doing it? The first time I ever got drunk, I was 9 years old because I watched my uncles brought in moonshine. They're from Kentucky. They make their own moonshine. Everybody got to drink it but me. And so I went into the fridge afterwards, and I started chugging away at it. Next thing you know, projectile vomit all over the place. So as you can see, you press the fast-forward button sometimes, and you kind of catch on to things real quick. But it also, as I said, the other side of that sword is I learned so much from him. My dad really instilled it in the guys to really be as productive as possible, to be the best that you can be amongst your peers. And my mother, she has the soft heart of it all. She made, I was a bit of a bully and a stud athlete in high school, but I always made sure that I was hanging out with the kids who were on the other side of the fence. You know what I mean? So. Right. I definitely think that my parents gave me a lot of advantages as well, so, positive things.
So when you start drinking or you get drunk at 9 years old, so they say, hey, man, I like this, so I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because, so how did that spiral out of control? And was it just alcohol, or did you just start messing with everything?
I mess with everything. You open up a drawer, whatever's in there, you're taking it down. So in reality, I was a creature of opportunity. You know, if I was under an apple tree, I'm eating apples. Whenever I got invited to a party, I never wanted to be the person who was turning something down, you know, whether it be the girl, the drug, the beer, whatever. And being from a well-to-do family in a good neighborhood and things like that, you were able to push the envelope a lot. And, you know, but eventually I ended up being in court on 4 different accounts of charges. So I would be in court every other week for months at a time, and eventually I'd seen the judge so many times, you know, they really cracked down on me. I had just done a senior prank gone wrong, but, you know, they were charging me with multiple felonies and like half a dozen misdemeanors. You know, in reality, it was harmless, but they were like, dude, we're sick of you. We're hitting you with it. So, you know, I had to, basically I got dropped all of my scholarships everywhere I was going that I had developed through my hard work as an athlete, you know, just boom, gone like that. Also, another thing that I dreamed about my entire life was to be, you know, in special forces. You know, I really dreamed about being with the best of the best, people who want to develop themselves past, you know, that line that everyone's asked to meet. You know, they want to be better than that. So, you know, all that stuff just, boom, right out the window. And then I started this rehab spiral where, you know, you get passed around place to place to place. They make you eat pill to pill to pill to become somebody that conforms to society. So,
how many rehab places did you go to?
I went to 5 different rehab places in the period of a year. And, you know, I was on medication from the age of like 7 years old until I was like 21. So, you know, it was a long process. And now, I mean, I've been medication-free since the day I got off that probationary period. And, you know, finding something like fitness, this is going really fast, but I'll just explain it. Finding something like fitness and the community that I've built now through opportunities like you presented me has created so much concentration and such a tunnel vision for me that I don't need anything. All I need is water and dumbbells, you know, and that to me is my drug.
But what kind of drugs are you in rehab for?
Oh, man. I was a pot, cocaine, ecstasy were like the high school years. Then I went into like the heroin, acid, mushroom years. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, just try it. As I said, man, I was a creature of opportunity. Right. I remember, this is kind of a story that I laugh at, but people cringe at. I had my friend, he was a heroin addict, and he would mountain bike with me and he would train with me, but he was like, you know, he was losing everything. Every day that I was growing, he was getting worse. And I was like, dude, like, why do you keep on doing this heroin stuff? He's like, it's so good, man, you don't know. And I was like, all right, I'll try it once, and if it's so good that I can't deny it, then I will leave you alone. Next thing you know, needles in my arm, boom, I get slammed with the stuff, and it was rainbows, and everything ever, you know, was built up to be. And I'm not trying to encourage anybody who's listening to this to do this stuff, but I mean, it's a harsh reality, man. The reason why people are getting hooked on this stuff is because you could have a Lamborghini attached to a skydiving kit with the hottest girl in the world right next to you, and it's still worth the ride to sit on your couch and do dope. So, you know, I kind of got caught up in that stuff. And
how long did that last? And here's the thing, because when Hunter said that, my eyes got as big as saucers, because when you said heroin, I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe it.
Well, you know what? It wasn't something where I was like, you know, I would go to the liquor store and go buy a 6-pack like every single night. It was something where as it came, I took it.
Right.
And I was always somebody who never was really attached to the drug itself. I was attached to the idea of it. You know, it was more of just the thrill of the fact that I was doing it. And then I could wake up the next day and be like, yo, did you guys remember when we did heroin? That was crazy. and you know, now it's all things of the past. That was almost a decade ago for me. But, wow, it all really did happen. As I said, I get to know myself better every time I tell the story.
How long were you on heroin?
I would say it was probably about a 1.5 year period where I'd take it sporadically. I only did it needle time once. I mean, that to me is just a little bit over the edge, but you put a bunch of powder on the table, you snort it up, it's pretty much right there with it too. So I kept it simple, kept the needles out. But honestly, I was also doing this whole thing while going to rehab. I was trying to find ways to get away from these drug tests, and I was like down to a science. I feel like such a buffoon now. I was finding ways like, all right, I'm getting tested next Tuesday, then I have a 72-hour period between my next test, and then there's like a 3-day period where I could probably get away with this, this, and this, and I would do it. And damn, man, like, you know, it was like that where I was like down to a science for a year straight trying to get, you know, by the wire all the time. And that's how I ended up getting bounced from rehab to rehab to rehab, because they're like, dude, we're catching you on this drug. We can't let you go. So then they send me to an intensive in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, where I'm like, I'm the same pair of pants for 3 months straight, and I'm eating beans and rice, and I'm freezing my ass off. And then I'm in another one, and I'm in Taos, New Mexico, and they're making me shovel snow 6 hours a day, and I was defiant there. So it was a downward spiral for a while.
What was it like for you? Did you go to the hood to get some drugs, or did you just...
No, man, it's so much easier than you think. I mean, Connecticut, Fairfield's right next to Bridgeport, which is one of the biggest, biggest slums there is in, the country. Not to say it's a slum, anybody who lives there, I'm sorry to say that, but it basically breeds crime and drugs. So a lot of the kids would just go over there and get it. But also, I mean, it's really not that hard, man. That's the sad thing about all this stuff. It's almost easier to find heroin than it is to find prescription drugs. Like, if I said, hey, I want to get, like, Xanax, or I want to take, Vicodin tonight, I could probably find somebody who will give me heroin first. So that's how it kind of got to that extent. But
speaking of the Vicodin and the Xanax, any issues with those?
Not really. I don't know why. Like, my college friends, like, instead of, like, going to hang out with a bunch of hot girls, my college friends started to get into pills. One of them just passed away 4 months ago, and, like, it was all started on us hanging out in the living room playing, like, Super Smash Brothers and stuff, and, like, I was like, guys, let's get out of the house and go do stuff. They're like, no, man, it's too good, like, blah, blah, blah. So, to me, I never really wanted to live life that way, sitting on a couch. I wanted to get outside, so uppers ended up becoming the main attraction for me.
Yeah, because I'm about to ask you, like, how are you high? I mean, I've never been high on heroin, but I've been around. And, alcohol is kind of my thing, but, a few other things as well. But, man, when I look at you right now, or since I met you at the Broken Skull Challenge, I mean, you're just this enthusiastic, athletic specimen with positive attitude and a high IQ. And it's hard for me to. I knew that you had been in that place because I'd heard some stories. So how are you as a high person if your buddies are all mellowed out and you're ready to get cranked up?
Sometimes I piss my friends off a lot. Some people just want to chill out, but at the same time, enthusiastic energy really brings people to rise to the occasion. I also didn't hang out with a lot of people who wanted to be like all chill pill going 5 miles an hour, like we're Corvettes, dude. We're throwing down. We're going out there. We're raging. So, you know what? It all ended up evening itself out, and I found the situation that for every party I wanted. So, yeah, it was a pretty crazy period of time.
So let's talk about when you finally got clean. But before we do, I got to take a quick minute here to thank the sponsors who let me do this podcast twice a week for free, and that includes Hanes with Fresh IQ. Underwear is important to us all, and at the end of a very long day, our socks, undershirts, and underwear start to develop a certain, let's call it aroma. Let's call it a funk, and we all suffer the funk from time to time. Even those who aren't doing Spartan races or running the Skullbuster. The funk happens to everyone. It's a fact of life. So that's why Hanes invented Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology. Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology attacks bacteria and keeps fabric from absorbing the funk and other unpleasant aromas. That means your socks, T-shirts, and boxers smell fresher longer. So forget smartwatches and fitness trackers. This is the latest and greatest in wearable tech. The underwearable wonder of odor-controlling Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology. And right now, you can get $15 off any order of $75 or more at Hanes.com. Just use the promo code FRESHAUSTIN. Some exclusions apply. So replace your old ratty boxer briefs, yellowed T-shirts, and mismatched socks. There's never been a better time to upgrade your obsolete undergarments with all-new Fresh IQ socks, shirts, and underwear from Hanes, America's #1 underwear. Just go to Hanes.com and use the promo code FRESHAUSTIN to save $15 off your order of $75 or more. Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology, the smart way to stay fresh. Everybody's got a to-do list. Drop off the dry cleaning. Pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to Geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
When did you finally get clean?
I overdosed on cocaine one time when I was in Miami. My whole family didn't know I was there. I was dead broke, and I was working as a personal trainer out here. And I flew to Miami for my friend's birthday party. He said, once you get here, all doors are open. I'm paying for the rest. It's like, perfect. That sounds like my kind of party. And next thing you know, everything went bad. I'm freezing cold. I'm sweating. I'm throwing up. I was convinced that I was going to die. So I spent the rest of the money I had in my account to change my ticket to fly back home. A week later, I had one of the biggest competitions in my Spartan race career. And I was like, man, I nearly just died before I had a competition that most people have been training 6 to 12 months for. And I remember, from that day on, I didn't touch anything for probably like 3 to 4 years. And since then, I've tried, and it's just not the same. I'll be totally honest with people. If people are like, "Hey, are you clean these days?" Like, I am clean, but I will admit, like, I'm not going to use the word relapse because it wasn't like I was, crawling on the floor high. But I've tried again, but I've found a different thing to energize me now. So, I mean, that was 2013, second week of January. Now we're looking at the second week of February in 2017. So it's basically kind of like 4 years clean.
How much coke did you have to do to OD?
Oh, man, I'll never forget this. There was 3 guys, 3 bags, big bags of cocaine, and we had reached the end of the night, and everybody was like, dude, we're done, man, we're done. And I'm like, I'm not done. Are you kidding me? Give it to me. And, just that was me, man. That was the enthusiasm that I kind of bring to the table now in different areas of life. But, dude, that's what brought me almost to my end. So I recognized that, there was more to it. So anybody out there who's struggling, man, just got to find an outlet, find some people who inspire you and stick to it.
Let's just take a classic 8-ball.
Yeah.
Did you snort a couple 8-balls? What?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I didn't have a scale there, but it looked like they basically all looked like ping pong ball bags of cocaine.
So what happened? Did you go to the hospital, or did you just totally?
I laid in bed that night. It was like 6 a.m. I'm drenched in sweat, and my heart's like, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna die. It was the only time I've ever thought in my entire life I'm gonna die. Like, I've been in car accidents, fist fights, none of that stuff made me feel like I was gonna die. This right here, I was like, it's done. I woke up maybe like an hour or two later. I threw up nonstop all the way for like 12 hours straight until I got on the flight. And I'm talking about, like, I felt like I was in a refrigerator cold and drenched with sweat. I mean, everything was just going bad. They tried to get out there and feed me. I couldn't take anything in. If it wasn't the actual, toxicity in my blood, it would have been the dehydration that I was putting my body through at this point. One of them was going to take me down, and somehow I snapped out of it. My girlfriend picked me up at the airport, and, she knew I had been up to something, but I didn't get into the details,
Right.
Yeah. So it was bad.
Well, for some people, like you said, you've been clean for a long time.
Yeah.
So some people would use the word relapse. Can you go out and just be at a party situation, and if someone's floating around, you're having an IPA or a glass of wine, and you're cool, or like, oh, someone's got some stuff.
Yeah. No.
You're past it?
I'm past it. I mean, look, I still look at it the same way I did before. I realize its power. I realize it's fun, the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But I also realize the significance of what I have in my daily life now. The other night I had a bunch of people over the Super Bowl party. Half of my friends could barely walk a straight line, and they're laughing their asses off. And I'm sitting there, chilled out, watching football, not touching anything. Not like there was drugs. I'm just talking about beer. And that, to me, isn't my day anymore. I can't wait to wake up the next day because it's Monday, and that's our heavy lifting day. And I was like, dude, I'm going to crush it. So that was my big thing. And, to some people, they're like, dude, that sounds so stupid. But the passion that I commit to that 1 hour in the gym, 2 hours in the gym, maxes out on any nightclub and any kind of, line of cocaine you're going to give me. So,
man, I tell you what, I had a little run. Probably not near as extravagant as yours was, or as intense, but there was a certain time it's like, hey, man, this stuff just, it ain't worth it. And, like, hell, it's been, I don't know how many years. If someone came up with the best shit out of Miami, I'd just say, dude, I'm not going to be the guy that ODs at 52 at Stone Cold Steve Austin. No, so that's not going to be me. There are going to be a lot of things that happen to me, but that ain't going to be one of them.
That's not how you're going out.
You said fist fights. Growing up, coming up, you said you was a little bit of a bully?
Yeah,
was this in high school years, or what's going on?
Not in the sense that you'd think that I was the kind of guy who was going out of their way and finding the weakest person and stuffing them in the locker, but I wasn't easy to hang out with, the big, loud, boisterous kid who was I wasn't the biggest kid in school, but I was bigger than most of them, and I'd book drop them and stick them with, dodgeball wherever I could. I was really giving people a hard time. But in reality, it was always with a grin. As I said, I never was giving anybody a hard time, but I wasn't easy to be by. And
I like the way you said that with a grin. 'Cause
Yeah.
You might have a grin, but the person that just slapping the books out of hand, they ain't got no grin.
No, they don't.
You're just bigger, stronger than they were.
Yeah. So look,
You try to take a malice out of it.
Yeah,
But
well-
no, I understand. You're not a mean-spirited person like you're trying to intentionally hurt somebody.
Yeah.
You're the bully.
Yeah, well, I was just having fun. And the fist fighting side of it was, you know what? Like, I think that's what boys just got to do sometimes. There's some people who just have it in their blood where I don't think about it at all these days. It's not part of my life other than the show that we got going on. But, yeah, in reality, man, like, when I saw somebody and they said something stupid, like, hey, man, you're like, why don't you shut up and get out of my way? And I was like, really now? Just loosen up their jawline. So that was it. And that was a long period of time, too, pretty much interwoven within the time that I was doing a lot of drugs. But it's a similar world, you know.
But were you just always, would you call yourself aggressive or just overly enthusiastic about everything?
Overly enthusiastic. Because to this point right now, you know, I think everybody gets road rage, but that's pretty much the angriest I'll ever get. Nobody kind of controls me inside that way. But, yeah, I never really hit somebody because I hated them. I hit somebody because it's funny to talk about tomorrow.
Right.
You know, remember that guy, just like the drugs. I was like, you remember that guy we punched in the face and took his beer? Yeah, like that kind of stuff.
You said you had some potential scholarship offers.
Yeah.
Your drug, and it was interesting. This is an article you did a couple of years ago. You never considered yourself a drug addict. You were a drug enthusiast.
And you know, I hope people don't take that the wrong way. But as I try to describe to you, it was never something I woke up in the morning and thought about first thing. But you know, when it came, I was there and I was excited. And I was enthusiastic.
Okay, enough with the drugs.
Yeah.
Tell me about the sports. What sports did you grow up playing in Connecticut?
I was a wrestler and a runner. I was a wrestler, and as I said, you know, there was a lot of things distracting me for actually being something that being the best I could be. That's why I want to go back and help people out. And second year through high school, my junior year, my dad was like, "Hey, look, you can either get a full-time job or you're going to start running." So I started running, and next thing you know, times were just dropping, and I was setting school records and I was setting sectional records. But as I said, I kept on getting in trouble. You know, first time you get suspended, you're out of competition for 2 weeks. Next time, 4 weeks. Last time, season's over. So that happened to me on pretty much all occasions. And as far as it went forward with the scholarships, I had arranged myself to go to a school called Trinity Pauling, which is a postgraduate year. And that's basically kind of like a red shirt year for someone who's going to play at the Giants. Like, you put this kid in a developmental program to guarantee that he has a contract anywhere he wants to go in the country afterwards. And that was our big plan. And, you know, immediately evaporated as, you know, those legal things kept on coming through.
What track events?
I was a 3,200-meter runner, and I could run like 2 miles in 9:40 in high school.
Jesus.
Which now, I mean, that was nothing in the country, but that was, if I had put my focus to it, which our plan was, like, you know, putting me away, we were hoping that I'd be a contender. And I would throw javelin. My grandfather was a world champion and an Olympic medalist. He did the weight pentathlon, which is, to anybody who's listening, it's the most macho event in track and field. It's
6 events.
Yeah, only throwing. So you just take this stone and take this spear and chuck it, and take this hammer, spin it, and throw it. So yeah, I look forward to that.
You got some
stuff.
genetics going for you, obviously.
We got some good stuff in the family.
Yeah.
We got, you know, there's no secret sauce to it other than hard work. But, you know, talent gets beat by hard work when hard work really wants to go with it, type thing. So I don't know if that's a saying, but
when you have God-given genetics,
oh yeah,
you've got a hell of a blank slate to start with, rather than someone not so much.
Yeah.
They can work their ass off, and as long as you are working your ass off, you should have the advantage.
For sure. And you know what? I thank my parents, my grandparents for all that, and now I'm taking that opportunity and I'm running with it.
Okay, Hunter, before we continue on and talk about wrestling you did in high school and your current nutrition plan and some of the coaches you've been working with, I got to say thank you to a longtime sponsor who's also in the health and fitness game, Diamond Dallas Page and DDP Yoga. For anyone listening to this podcast who's looking for some help and motivation with their own health and fitness plan, Dallas and DDPY are your answer. Dallas knows how hard it is to get on that path to healthier living and stick to it. That's why he created the DDPY program, which is more than just a workout. Dallas gives you all the tools and information you need to eat better, exercise, and monitor your progress. He also offers plenty of his own personal motivation, and right now, he's offering y'all 25% off the DDPY DVDs, the DDP Yoga Now app, and all DDPY swag. You can get 25% off T-shirts, mats, heart monitors, hats, and more. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin, and that's not all. If you buy the DDPY Max Pack today, you'll get 50% off your second copy. So that's 50% off the 25% you're already getting. That's a huge savings. And, of course, if you buy the DDPY DVDs for 25% off, you still get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app. Dallas' program has already helped thousands of people, and not just professional wrestlers like Scott Hall, Jake the Snake, and Mick Foley. DDPY helped disabled veteran Arthur Borman and literally thousands of people just like you and me get on the path to healthier living. So take control of your own health and fitness. Get on the DDPY program today and take advantage of this huge sale. 25% off DDPY and all related merch at ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin. If you're in the market for a car, then you need to check out TrueCar.com and the TrueCar app. TrueCar gives you the pricing information you need to feel confident about your purchase. When you register with TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local market paid for the car you want. From there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. TrueCar shows you real pricing on actual inventory, so you see competitive pricing offered to you by TrueCar certified dealers for vehicles that are actually on their lots. TrueCar makes car buying easy, no matter if you're looking for a brand new or a used vehicle. There's over 500,000 pre-owned vehicles available from TrueCar certified dealers nationwide, and there are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers. And over 2 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
So what happened with the wrestling? Because you're so good at the track, and obviously I'm thinking, were you already 6'2" by the time you got in high school?
Yeah, skinny.
Okay,
skinny
but
dude.
so
Yeah.
to me, then you're really built like a long distance runner then.
Yeah.
And like now, you're so muscled up. I mean, I'm not sitting across from a bodybuilder you're going to find at Gold's Gym, but
Yeah.
Hunter, you saw him on the television on Broken Skull Challenge. You're a big guy, and people, when you just see you walking up, you don't realize you're as big as you are until you get up on him. Like, hey, this dude's about 6'2" plus, and he's pretty jacked.
Yeah.
You know, and you do a lot of heavy Olympic lifts, you do a lot of deadlifting, so your back is thick as hell.
Yeah.
But people don't get that. So you didn't have that physique then.
No,
so you
no,
built
no.
like a classic long distance guy.
I was wiry. I was one of those kind of flowy guys where you'd grab me and I'd Gumby out of everything. So that was my moves back then. And the reason why it fell apart was, I'm not going to put this entirely on him, but I had a really hard time, and I just got out of rehab, and I got invited to go to school at Rhode Island College where they had a good wrestling program. And from there, I basically got there, and Coach Jones, our coach, was not allowing me to participate in practices basically based on my behavior and the school record that I'd come in with. So I kind of got like pushed out to the side, even though I lived in the wrestling house with a bunch of dedicated dudes. And, we were all hard working. I didn't get to really participate. So I watched all these guys ride away on their glory, and I just said, you know what, partying's more important to me. So I kind of just dropped out. That's when I dropped out of school.
How were you as far as the skill set of the wrestling? Because you were in, 1 or 2 years with the wrestling?
Oh, no, I wrestled from the age of 10 all the way until I was 19, yeah.
Well, dude, because I want to fast forward. I mean, we'll get there in a little bit, but that one time you were in the pit against Tim, the scientist from Penn State.
Yeah.
He gave you a little bit of a run for your money.
Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah.
Because at one time he had picked you up, almost tipped you over the edge, and that would have rewritten the history books.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Challenge.
Hey, man.
And here's the thing. I want to get off subject here. We're going to come up with Broken Skull Challenge, but some of those challenges are so specific. You might, as you are the best athlete that's ever coming out there because you're still my returning champion, but had he deposited you out, all the athletes probably that would have come after him would have probably taken, for sure, Tim out, and I don't know how many returning champions I would have had.
Yeah.
But so how are you technique-wise as far as how your wrestling went?
You know what? I recognize going into your events that it is a lot of body control, but it is not traditional wrestling. Somebody who was a master of that field was somebody like Ian. You watched him come in at the beast mode, and you watched him really, the all-star, you watched him really control it from the start.
Yeah.
That is somebody who is an absolute master of their trade. Me, I knew I had to play, basically the long game. I knew I had to basically tire everybody out, make sure that I had that utmost advantage. Like right when I went from like 50 to 51%, I knew it wasn't time yet. Then I was at 60%, then I'm 70% advantage. That's when I strike. I knew he was tired enough to do something with it. So anybody who's listening in here, those pits are way more deceiving than you think. It is hot sand. It is like the most intense thing ever. The whole production team's watching you. So it's it's a lot of electricity going through you. But.
Hey, let's. I want to come back to Broken Skull Challenge because that's what everybody that listens to my show knows you from. And obviously, there's some bleed over from some of the other podcasts that you've been through. But so you get out of high school, and then so how'd you find? I know you're partying with some buddies. Y'all got online. Hey, let's go do a Spartan race. They couldn't get out of bed. You made it, and all of a sudden you finished like six
out of like 10,000 people. So
hey man, maybe I got a future in this.
And then I took about a year to think about it. I said to myself, wow, that's something I could do with my life. But then I didn't want to just plug in and start doing it. It just seemed too odd to really just jump into it. I had some other things going on in my life. Nothing fantastic, but I had other stuff. And then I was sitting on my brother's couch. I was living on his couch in New York City. I'd moved back from California, and I was like, I'm over this. I'm going to go be the best. So I moved back to California with any dollar that I had, and I started training, and I started working my absolute hardest. And as I said to you, within like a very short period of time, it was something like I turned the corner, and it was right there, and I just jumped on that horse, and I rode as hard as I could. I got a sponsor. Reebok contacted me right away because I was doing well. Spartan Race contacted me right away, and they just signed me on, and it was as if, I just didn't look back.
Okay, now why did you have to come to California to do this? You could have stayed over in Connecticut, couldn't you?
Well, you know what? I just knew that my system over there was too much about the party. If you're in New York City, I don't know how much time you spent there, there is literally a door that is revolving 24/7 for opportunity. If you want to go to the bar, if you want to go to the bodega to go get a sandwich, a pack of cigarettes, a beer, whatever, it's constant. Out here when I was living in California where Malibu, everybody goes to sleep at 8 o'clock at night and everybody wants to have a six-pack, it's a much more conducive neighborhood where you're like, holy crap, like Laird Hamilton just walked by, like, I got to look like that guy in a few weeks, like, let's go, So everyone, as I think this is, California is like the land of opportunity. It's the gold rush, especially for people like you and I. And I knew that I had to come back out here and, treat myself like somebody who really wanted it.
Okay, you're going to jump into this, and you finished sixth in your first Spartan race.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, you got an athletic background, track, wrestling.
Yeah.
But the track is the thing here, what you're going to pursue. So you don't know anything. You're green. You know running. So how did you hook up with a coach, strength-wise and running-wise, to help you out?
I'm a huge advocate in learning your trade, mastering your trade through research. So you can put as much work in the gym as you want to, but it might be in a million different directions in all the wrong directions. So I contacted the best coach. I reached out to this guy named Brian McKenzie. He created CrossFit Endurance, and I learned from him. And I read every book that I could, and I trained, and I watched every video that I could, and I followed in these guys' footsteps to make sure I was 100% going to be as good as them, if not better than them, next time I saw them. So, that was it. You can look at my phone or you go to my house. I have a big library, and I read everything. And I sit across from people like yourself, and I ask every question I can so that I can be as good, as better as you are. You know what I mean?
But were you diagnosed with ADD at a young age?
ADHD, yeah.
Okay, so now, being 27 still, did you overcome that? Is something you deal with? Or... Because I can't read a damn book. It's got to be something I'm really interested in, or just it's like rubbing my face on barbed wire. Don't want to do it. Yeah, no. I definitely am. I'm there at times. Like right now, I'm struggling to read a lot because I don't feel connected to it anymore. My mind just starts wandering a few sentences in. So it ebbs and flows when I can really do this kind of stuff. But in reality, I've had to really establish a lot of systems where it works for me. Like if I wake up right in the morning and I get on my computer and look at like something I want to read, I give myself about a half an hour to an hour before anybody else wakes up, like 4 in the morning, when I can do it. And that's how I nail it right there. I had to make all these little systems, or I do this thing I call the 10-minute rule, or I go to my watch and I set a 10-minute timer. I'm like, you cannot do anything else except for this for 10 minutes. So those are my little tricks. Okay, so what would be like a 10-minute task?
10-minute task? Okay, so 2 days ago I had to pay bills. I had to pay a Car Express toll bill, those pieces of crap around here that get me every single time. Had to pay my car registration, had to pay, like 5 different things.
Right.
To me, that looks like a mountain.
Right.
But if you put a 10-minute timer on it, it's like a game. Go through it. Another thing, clean my car. I love having a clean-looking truck. I'm sure you respect trucks. You want that thing to be pristine. I get out there, I'm like banging the mats out, everything. I got the vacuum in there, I'm scrubbing. I'm like a pit crew. But I got 10 minutes, man. So that to me is something that I've used to really conquer tasks, or 10 minutes per chapter in a book. But that's the only way I break it down.
You get up at about 5 or 6 every single morning?
100%.
What time you go to sleep?
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. If you get me up past 10, you're a crazy person.
Really?
Yeah, you got to be the hottest woman in the world, or you got to have a great 6-pack of beer, some whiskey, or maybe a good TV show. Like I was watching Highlander the other night. That was good.
We were talking about drugs a while ago. Me and my wife just started rewatching Breaking Bad.
Oh, man.
We just finished season 1 last night. And so, there's so many things that I look at differently now that I watched it all the way through.
Yeah.
But now there's like so many things that I missed, or because I'm watching for the second time, I'm picking different things up. It's amazing the second time around.
Dude, Game of Thrones, man, that's like my go-to. I've watched that thing like half a dozen times. Can't stop it. What?
Should I watch it?
Oh, my God. You haven't seen it?
Is it better than Breaking Bad?
Oh, 100%, dude. This is your kind of world. Like war. Like true war. And like everybody is a true badass, I honestly, it's my favorite show because it's sex, sword fighting, and just, history.
Okay.
Gives you a little bit of everything.
When I see you, and every time I've seen you at the ranch, man, you're always high energy.
Yeah.
Right now, you're high energy. I dig it.
Yeah.
So when you want to shut it off, you said you go to sleep at 8, 9. I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does a person like you go to sleep?
For me,
That sounds like a stupid question.
No.
I'm serious.
The way I started to do it for myself is, and I had to do this as a kid because I had so much energy. I have to pick something that is very, very organized and cyclical. Like when I was a kid, I used to collect cards, and I used to take them and I would organize them inside of a binder over and over again to make it more efficient every single time, whether it be coordinated this time, matching dragons in this one, or this, that, and the other thing. And that put me to sleep like cough syrup. And now for me, when I go to bed at nighttime, I usually sit down and I drink like a huge thing of water. I stretch. I go through like a little yoga flow of my own because, everybody's got to stay loose and limber. Gets a hold of you eventually. And that puts me to bed, man. I do like my little routine, and it's countdown time.
Right.
Yeah, nails me every single time, and it works.
When you pop out of bed, are you a coffee guy? Are you a morning person, or what?
I'm not a coffee guy. I'm a huge water guy. I'm on a diet right now. My buddy Bobby Williams has got me on. I'm either yerba mate tea, which is I think it's Argentinian tea, or I'll take like a quart of water, 2 limes squirted in there with a little bit of CLA or L-carnitine, shred you up a little bit. I chug that, man. That energizes me, man. You'd be surprised. So many people go for stimulants. Like water is the first thing your body needs. You ever feel like you wake up in the morning, your body's like everything's snapping and popping?
I'm good about drinking water. I drink at least a gallon and a half a day.
There you go.
And a lot of people think like you're holding up that little water bottle. Oh, I drink 2 of these a day. And it ain't nothing.
I know, it's nothing.
You got to drink a gallon.
Yeah.
Okay, you said Bobby Williams. What you doing with your nutrition program?
So nutrition.
And who is this guy?
Bobby, I got to give him a good shout out. He is a friend of mine in Malibu. He's somebody I walk and I would do anything to be like him when I grow up. He's 53, and the guy is more shredded, more fit, can do anything I can do better type thing. He is used to be a stuntman, and he was a kind of like a contract commercial model, everything like that. He's climbed every mountain you've ever talked about in all of California and all the United States. So he's just an enthusiast of life like I am, and he's done so much, and he knows everything. He can tell me, he's like, hey, the way you're training right now, if you wake up in the morning and do cardio instead and drink a gallon of water and take it really, really easy, I guarantee your lifts are going to add 20% in the afternoon. And I did that for a week, and everything went up. Because I try to wake up in the morning, I haven't eaten anything, my body's all groggy, and next thing you know, I'm trying to lift really, really heavy things when your body needs to kind of loosen up and limber. So, he's just one of those people I go to as a guru. But as nutrition, man, calorie is a calorie type thing sometimes for an athlete.
For you.
For me.
Yeah.
For me. So some people.
How would you classify yourself? More like, almost, man, I would say, I'm guessing, maybe 40% ecto, 60% meso?
Yeah. I would say I'm ectomesomorph, as you like to put it. Yeah. I've got that kind of tall, lean figure, but at the same time, I put on a lot of size in like the chest, back, and butt. Like I've got a very silverback gorilla type body. And, for me, I did all this testing, and you'd be amazed at the rate that some athletes need to eat. Like, you read about Michael Phelps. That dude's taking down 10,000 calories a day because basically there's a plug on the other side just draining straight out of him. If he doesn't put it back in, he's going to fall apart. So, big thing, Mark Ripito, I told you about him, dude. Gallon of milk a day. When it's bulk season, trying to get the size on, your body needs a lot to supercharge it, to get back into that period where it knows that it's grow time. So,
yeah, but I'm looking at you, a single guy, 27. I don't see you in front of a stove making
I do
6-7 meals every single day to put in plastic containers.
I love cooking. I love cooking. I swear. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to sit there and like sprinkle rosemary on top of things. Yeah, okay. So
make your proteins, make your carbs.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So what I do is I wake up and in the morning and I'll make myself like a big omelet type thing or a big shake and do my training, blah, blah, blah. But I'll take in the oven, I'll put a half a dozen sweet potatoes in, and I'll put in a bunch of chicken, leave it in there. By the time I'm done training, you check it a couple times. One you pull out a little bit earlier than the other one. Next thing you know, you got food for the whole day. Or, you could be a sucker like you and I'm sure are. You go to Whole Foods and you try to feed yourself one time. It's like a $40 meal. I'm like, what the hell just happened? So you got to be smart. Got to be economical.
How many calories are you throwing down total a day?
Low side 5, high side like 8 to 9.
What's training looking like for you right now? Just kind of take us through a week.
So I break it down like this. Sunday I always take off because, I'm not necessarily a religious man. I'm just a man who believes you need to have one day to do something else. Gives yourself some perspective. So Monday, heavy lifts. I'll get a barbell. I make sure I bend that thing. It's going to be deadlifts, back squats. I'll do some Olympic lifts. I mess around with the snatches and cleans just for fun to do CrossFit type stuff, but it doesn't necessarily transfer over as much as I'd want it to do anything else. Tuesday, I make sure is like, really good sport-specific stuff. I'm doing rope climbs. I'm doing specific kind of like grip type things. We're facing a lot of that in obstacle course racing, a lot of kettlebells, things that are very much more functional, moving all different kind of patterns rather than a barbell, which is up and down, back and forth. Wednesday, start to do cardio. Do a long bike ride, a long row, still keeping a little bit of strength training in. Thursday is another light day, and then Friday and Saturday just pound it again with barbells. You got to make sure that this strength right now, by the time I get to like championship season, which is 6 months away from now, when I start to lean back on the strength, that I still have it in my muscles. It's going to deteriorate, but let's say you get up to a 500-pound back squat. If you take away 25% of that, you're still way up there. Whereas if I'm just working, I only have a 300-pound back squat, and I take away 25% of that, I'm real weak. And, that deteriorates even more and more and more over time. So I try to get up to my highest number possible, and then get as weak, try to keep that buffer away from me getting weaker and weaker.
So then what will happen when championship season starts? Because right now is off season, you're doing your heavy stuff, but then how will your training change just in getting ready for a race? Because I would imagine you would stop.
Well, let's say
heavy squatting.
Yeah, you got to get rid of some things, and you have to keep muscle pattern in. I believe that. I'm a big believer in that, keeping the movement still present, but not necessarily the intensity behind it. So when it gets to championship season, like I've got a big strength block for the first quarter, I've got a strength endurance for the second quarter, I've got a big volume block for the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter is intensity. So I drop the volume down of my running, my biking, my lifting, and it's now I'm in the gym and I give myself like a 60-second work set, 225 on the bar, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, take a ton of rest. But what that does to me is it builds a mental engine and it also builds a physical engine that makes me primed,
All right, Hunter, the Gimme to Go Home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off in the sunset. Now that we've heard about your training routine and nutrition, let's pick up the conversation on Thursday and hear how all that shaped the strategy that made you the Broken Skull Challenge returning champion. Hey, my video of the week is Hunter McIntyre taking on Seal Fit's Kokoro 42. If you'll remember, I had Mark Devine, former Navy SEAL of SEAL Fit, and this is Hunter taking on the Kokoro Challenge. It's awesome. And if you go to YouTube, you can look at that video, but you can also just Google Hunter McIntyre training sessions. It'll show a lot of the stuff he's doing with his running coach. He'll be pulling him on a bicycle, a mountain bike, uphill with this tethered band hooked to the back of his torso. All kinds of stuff. And you'll understand what kind of work this guy puts in to make him so dominant at the Broken Skull Challenge and all the races that he competes in. The guy trains with the best. He has world-class genetics. And above and beyond everything, he puts in the work to make him a champion. He's totally dedicated to his sport, and the kid just flat out works his ass off. Anyway, hey, Hunter McIntyre Part 2 coming up this Thursday. Man, I just got finished talking to Ryan Barkin over at Pro Wrestling Tees. We're going to release some brand new shirts from Broken Skull Challenge. All those ones that you've seen on the shows. Everybody in the UK, thank you for the support of the show. I know how much you guys love it, and I appreciate the support watching on Dave TV or whatever it is. All of those T-shirts are available at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin or BrokenSkullRanch.com. Hey, if you want the best price on the baddest knife on the planet, go to Amazon. It's $75 on Amazon, and use my links when you go. All of my Amazon links are at podcast1.com. Click on the Killer Deals button in the top right corner of the page, then hit the Steve Austin Show button. I've got Amazon links for USA, UK, and Canada. If you use my Amazon links whenever you're doing any online shopping, Amazon will kick back some bucks to the podcast. It never costs you anything extra. There's never any hidden fees or charges. You can buy whatever you're planning on buying and help the podcast in the process. And like I said, Hunter McIntyre is coming back on Thursdays to let it all fly about his experience on the Broken Skull Challenge. He's going to break down his winning strategy. He's also a big pro wrestling fan, and we're going to talk about whether or not that's something he might pursue in the future. So we've got Hunter coming back to finish up the conversation on Thursday, and right now I'm headed down to the Staples Center to talk to Kevin Owens. He'll be coming up on Tuesday, and then I've got Rip Rogers, the one and only Rip Rogers, dropping knowledge and talking about pro wrestling coming up next Thursday. It's a great conversation with a wily veteran who had a long-ass career. I looked forward to talking to Rip Rogers. He didn't fail. We had a great time. Hey, 60-second AP News headlines coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at podcast1.com. That's podcastone.com.
I want to say thank you to Drop Stop, one of the great sponsors of this show. Drop Stop is the original patented seat gap filler, as seen on TV Shark Tank. Get the original Drop Stop at buydropstop.com and use code STEVE for 2 free gifts and free shipping. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One right after this.
The Angry President. I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. We've learned that President Trump was seething when he fired FBI Director James Comey. He felt Comey let the FBI's Russia investigation play out in the press, we're told. Former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone tells the Today Show this morning the Trump presidential campaign did not collude with Moscow.
The idea of Russian collusion is a canard. It's a falsehood.
Earlier on the Today Show, White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked about a line in the president's termination letter to Comey that read, "I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation." Some have called that statement into question. Sanders was asked about it.
Look, I'm not sure on the reasoning behind that exact part being in there, but I do know I spoke to the president directly, and he said that those moments and conversations did take place.
I'm Rita Foley.